Hello everyone and welcome back to my Final Fantasy XIV Let's Play. I'm indeed Neon Genesis and we're going to be proceeding with the main storyline itself. Sorry, not the storyline, sorry. We're going to be proceeding on with the sort of Let's Play itself, and this isn't a dungeon to do with the main storyline, but it is quite a heavily needed dungeon. It's cancelled now. Hopefully we'll be able to get in straight away. Now it's quite heavily needed because it's one of the dungeons needed for your relic quest, so I probably will do a guide on the relic quest of a weapon. I won't go all the way up till the Zeta weapon, but I will get as far as I can to the point of at least Zenith, if anyone knows what I'm on about. But this dungeon is well needed because it is a part of the relic quest, so I figured I'd give this one a go. Just gonna, it's alright. I have actually run out of food, which is a pain in the butt because I'm very big on my food. I do always recommend having food there. So this one's a bit of a strange dungeon because you'll come across these lunatic followers just up here. Now, if you're a tank, you do want to be stunning this move here from this enemy. If you don't, he will summon more enemies. Trying to boost myself up there. Now what you're going to notice in these sort of dungeons now, these used to be sort of high level dungeons. I mean, yes, they are level 50, but with the way that the whole game is run now, people being overgeared and preparing for Heaven's Ward coming up very soon, may add, you tend to do big pulls, and a lot of them are what they call sack pulls, so big AoE pulls. I mean, Dragoon, not very good for their AoEs really, so unfortunately I won't be doing some crazy damage. And we've got another Dragoon. Now Dragoons are mainly sort of best known for doing great damage on single target enemies, you know, not so much good on big groups of enemies. Just gotta take that Hippogriff down. Boom. Down you go. Okay, now I'm just going to wait for this paladin. Looks like we've got a well-geared paladin. We've got a good 7,3.5k HP. The healer, again, no offense to any of the newbies on this game, or anyone who's just sort of hit level 50, you can tell the healer's pretty new because of the HP. I mean, the white mages do have lowish HP compared to DPS and tanks anyway, so they must be doing pretty much what you guys are going to be doing if you're new to the game as well and gearing up. Now I've been preparing every day, honestly, every day by day, preparing for Heaven's Ward because it is just around the corner. If you can get the Zeta weapon for your relic, you are well in there for being prepared for Heaven's Ward, and apparently there is a slight advantage if you've got the Zeta weapon for Heaven's Ward. Now I don't have the Zeta weapon yet. I'm just going to use second wind there. Let's have a look. I've got the Novus at the moment, item level 110, and I'm very close. I'm at the moment farming my lights. Again, this is for people who do know what I'm on about when I'm on about the relic. I'm very much close to finishing my lights. I'm possibly on the last 100 lights. That's part and part reason why I fancied doing this dungeon on Dragoon, mainly for the lights anyway, and also to give myself a break and for you guys to see a different perspective of me on a different job. Now I've not got the, you know, most fanciest of armor, fanciest if I can say it. You know, I've already got the World of Darkness armor. I haven't got full 130 armor. And there's Void Call again, guys. Another lunatic follower casting it. You wanna interrupt that if you can, otherwise he will spawn more ads. I managed to kill that one. Okay, these Dullahans, not really anything to worry about. They do one frontal AoE and cone attack, and they also do I want to say it's called King Justice, which is a self buff that they do. Again, at this sort of stage and levels, you haven't really got too much to worry about. And I've just recently posted out a Dragoon rotation guide. Not sure if anyone's seen it. Not sure what anyone's really thought of it. But hopefully anyone who's sort of getting into Dragoon is giving them some form of advice. But as I was mentioning on there, doing rotations. I've just actually aggroed them by mistake, but never mind. We're all ready to go. As I was saying about rotations, really, you know, you don't want to be... I mean, like, I'm not going to do rotations on these enemies here. I mean, they are going down so quick, but by the time I've done a rotation, it will be dead. So if anyone's wondering or wanting to criticise me for saying, you know, Neo, you've just done a video, but you're not doing any rotations, that's the reason why, really. The rotations that I was talking about, I'd recommend doing them on maybe possibly if you can get them in without getting... any big damage off is or getting hit is on, like, for example, Titan or any sort of bigger fights, and especially boss fights if you can. That's when you're going to notice the most amount of damage. And as I don't know if I mentioned before, but the reason why I've got the damage in the left side on the chat there, I personally have the damage on because I like to see the damage I do. Because to me, that's the self-enjoyment of the game. You can see how much damage you're actually doing. If you can't see the damage, you don't feel you don't know how strong you are. So, anyway, guys, we're on the first boss. This is the Lunatic Priest. Now, he does not pose you any threat whatsoever until about 50%. He'll then start void calling, and what he's going to do is going to void call and summon. As you can see here, look, guys, he's going to summon. Dum, dum, dum. This thing here. Now this thing here is the actual boss. So you want to be finishing off the Lunatic Priest, who will go down pretty quickly. And again, he doesn't really do any major AoEs. Basically just a normal enemy. And then you want to go into the Psych Fly if you can. Now he'll do a move called Mind Melt. That does, I think it does AoE damage. And Canker. Now Canker is a bit of a funny ability, because what he'll do is, you see the purple fetter attached to the golem over there. As you might have guessed, he's going to bring them back to life, or bring them to life, and quite simply, you just take care of the ads. If you've got a really strong group and you're the healer or you're the tank, just stay on the Psych Flyer. Don't even worry about taking the hit off the stun marionette. Don't worry too much. You can probably, if you've got a strong group, just DPS the whole, just DPS the boss and let the ads stay on the tank. And I don't think the boss should summon any more mini golems. Now, one other annoying thing is he will do another sort of Canker ability and summon this lovely little thing here, which is a big Mother Hubbard of a golem. Now, all he does is a big AoE, walks a little bit more towards you and does another big AoE. Other than that, nothing to really worry about. I've actually just noticed, but my my healer's just died. Oh, I'm sorry, he's disconnected. But anyway, we've managed to do it without the healer there anyway. I'm sure the healer will be back pretty shortly to get your loot. And again, with the item level 55 armor, again, another reason why I'm doing this dungeon is because if you're gearing up, it's not a bad way of getting your item level up. And welcome back to the healer. If I can say his name. Page. And into the ethereal floor. So that boss used to pose me lots of troubles back when I first started the game. Just as I hit level 50, I remember struggling on that boss quite a fair bit, but we were a lot weaker then. And we had to sort of, the fight was like just as it is, but obviously you had a lot less HP, you did a lot less damage, and the fight went on for a lot longer, and you had to put up with a lot more of that, the giant golem, and a lot more of those cankers. You'd have about 4 or 5 of those mini golems running about during the fight at stages. So, but for that one we only killed one. And we even lost a healer and we still did it. Which just shows you how far we've come in terms of gear and levels. Okay, so eventually you'll pop up to some more of these Vodariga sleepers. Now, they just popped up there. Now, don't worry. That is expected. It always happens every run. Okay, I'm going to go into an AoE in a minute. Normally what they do here is, again, another big pull. Now, they'll either stop here or a tank. I've seen a couple of tanks do it before. They'll run straight through there and pull the next set of enemies. And you'll kill all your ads there with AoEs. But I think the safest bet is to pull them relatively small. And then you get them down that way around. Spike. Let's do some Doom Spike. And that. Now, Doom Spike is a little bit annoying. Just to sort of mention this for any Dragoons out there. Is A, it takes up a lot of TP. But also, having a quick read here, Doom Spike, is it delivers an attack with a potency of 160 to all enemies in a straight line before you. So you've got to make sure they're all lined up. Just like that. Quite annoying because you've got to make sure, especially if you've got big groups of pulls, and especially if the tank decides to move inches here, inches there, you know, it's gonna come to a point where sometimes you're not actually gonna hit the enemies or some enemies. So grab this treasure chest. It's not gonna be loot, but since I've pulled him, why not? Vials of XIV. It's free loot at the end of the day. So guys, had a quick message on Steam then. Lol. Okay, so these Vodariga sleepers are, again, you can see they're flying down. Nothing to really mention to do with these Vodarigas, they're just trash pulls. And believe it or not guys, we are coming up to halfway done of this dungeon already. Just gonna get rid of that one there. And there we go. Now again, the Paladin's gonna pull. There's a set of enemies around the corner in this room here. Now there are enemies straight in front of you. You don't have to pull them. And at this stage of the game, why pull something? You don't need EXP. You don't get any EXP. But if you don't need EXP, what is the point in killing them if you don't have to? Other than the Vodarigas that have just popped, you don't have to pull any of those enemies there. I'm talking the Brontator and the Houndlight there. But there is a bunch of enemies here, and again there's another Brontator on the left hand side there, near the giants there. Now you don't actually have to pull them either. So there is a lot of enemies you can avoid to make this run that little bit quicker. See if I can get in a straight line to do some damage. Ah, I've actually aggroed the giant there, so that's my bad. Not to worry. Nice, they're all going down. One, slowly but surely. I do think Dragonfire Dive is a pretty handy one. I do like that ability. If there's one move that I don't use for Dragoon, and I openly admit, it's Piercing Talon. Now I actually didn't mention that in my Dragoon video because quite honestly, to me it's one of the most useless abilities. Now a lot of people can, you know, disagree, agree, or disagree to agree, or vice versa. But I'd say it's the most sort of disappointing ability because it is a ranged attack, but for what it does, it's just not worth it. I don't even have it on my hotbar at all. Now I say the Iron Giants, but I mean the Dullahans. These Dullahans, they do aggro quite easy, so you're probably more than likely not going to be able to avoid that. But these enemies here, the Brontator and again the Houndlight, again you can avoid them and get away with it. Now we're going to be approaching our next boss. Purple line always indicates boss, remember guys. And look who we have here. Does anyone recognise this enemy here? All I'm going to say to you guys, Final Fantasy VII. And just as the tanks are there, don't get knocked off. Now there's a few mechanics in this fight you need to watch out for, and there's a rotation, or a mechanic you need to watch out for. So you'll start off with doing a purple line through the centre and a purple line around the sides. Stay out of the purple, quite honestly, and don't get hit by it if you can help it. It will put heavy on you if I'm correct. He'll do this twice in a row, and then after a while he'll do a move called repel, which you'll see on top of the screen now. And when this happens, you want to stay in the middle of the enemy, quite as close to him as you can, and then he's going to move forward. Look, the wall is going to crush you basically, so you need to be as quick as you can. And again, he'll repeat this whole phase one more time. Purple line through the middle, purple line around the sides. Now we are killing so quick that he's probably not going to do this again. Back in the day, we used to go through this stage of 3 or 4 times. Purple line through the middle, purple line around the sides, and then of course another repel. Now what I quite like to do, not that it's probably going to matter, is wait for repel again. I like to just do a dragon fire dive or a span shatter dive just to catch up to him there. I don't know, I thought I'd share that with you guys. And believe it or not guys, just as easy as that, that's him down. If you do get to another stage of the moves he does, I think the 3rd time round he spawns some bees. Now the bees are called blood lappers, I think. Those can be quite annoying and can cause you paralyzed, I think. And if you're paralyzed, you pretty much could be screwed from there if you're weak enough. But I shouldn't have thought that anybody would get that weak would be that weak. Unless you're really new, but even still, the 3 of your other members should be relatively geared. Unless you're 4 new people to this dungeon, then maybe. Okay, so we've got Vermilion, we've got Paladin armor, so I'm so regretful that I'm not a new Paladin, because that could have been the body and the feet there. Again, with a pass in. Nobody wanted him. Everybody's too geared up. If it was Mage armor, maybe the White Mage would have taken it. Again, with some more trash pulls. Now, you recognise these succubuses from Hockey Manor, or Hawk Manor as some people call it. I'd recommend taking down the mages first, i.e. the succubus, and in the distance there, you can't quite see the name of the enemy yet, but you'll see the eye. I'd recommend taking him down when you can. Also, just watch out for random AoEs that can just appear up, which are not actually that random. The succubus over there, not that he's aggro, dude, we'll just do an AoE over here randomly. It's quite annoying, just something to note. Again, with the Dullahan, nothing to really note really, just watch out for AoE. Any mages should be staying well out of AoE anyway. Again, if you're an experienced white mage and pretty much geared up and confident enough, more than welcome to throw in the holies with these big pulls, by the way. That really does speed up the fight, makes a huge difference. Makes the run a lot quicker than you think. And that's coming from a DPS standpoint as well. Okay, so we've got Solomenkos and the Soul Collector. I'd recommend Smolenkos. If I can even say his name. Damn Square Enix and their names. I'd recommend killing him first and then going for the other mages, i.e. the Hound Light here that we have to kill, and of course the Succubus as well. As you can see, I'm going to go straight onto the Succubus here. I think I stunned that move in time then. Yeah, I did. Dragon Fire Dive for some nice AoE all around. And that's Smolenkos. Well done, Leo. That's Smolenkos down. A little bit slower when you've got just dragoons. If I'm honest, it's not the best setup, but in terms of bosses, you can see the bosses go down pretty quick. And there's so many dungeons out there that, you know, you've got to kind of cut people some slack. You know, they haven't done dungeons for a while. For example, this one is, I'd say it's an old dungeon now. It's been around for a very long time now. They've adjusted it here and there as well along the way, so the dungeon has changed from time to time. And you know, at the end of the day, it's hard to adjust to some of the way that the dungeons have been adjusted. Whether it be nerfed, or whether it had been fixed, made harder. This one, if I'm right, they fixed it. They made it harder, believe it or not. Back when it came out, they had it quite easy. There was a way that you could skip around all the enemies, or most of the enemies, and pretty much pull straight up to the boss, and then get rid of the boss, and then just move on from there. Now there is still some dungeons like that where you can cheat and do that sort of thing, but they've made it so. That's why they've made it so that the Vodarica sleepers pop up like that, so that you have to fight some enemies, basically. Okay, let's go with an AoE. Heavy Thrust, Ring of Thorns, and then I think they're going to look like they're in a line there. Doom Spike, Doom Spike, Dragonfire Dive, Doom Spike. There we go, that's 1 down, 2 down, and 3 down. Okay, there's 2... I've forgotten the names now. Oh, there's 2 Dullahans. One to the hiding to the right that patrols just down this line here. And another one, just as you can quite clearly see in the distance there. Again, you know, I've mentioned it twice before in this video. They go down so easy that they don't even get a move off. Iron Justice? Oh, he's dead. What a shame. If you're quick enough, you can actually skip past that enemy, which just speeds that run up a little bit quicker. And believe it or not, 21 minutes into the video, nearly 22, that is Amdapor Keep. But we have got one last boss before we do that. We've got the last boss, Amdapor. Right, there's a pretty much the same... There's a set mechanic that most people use in this, or a set strategy. Tank fights there. We hide here for 1 move and 1 move only, pretty much. But I'm just going to stand there for the whole run, pretty much. That's how easy this is going to be. I will go into a rotation. After some time, after fighting this enemy here, he will do a move called Imminent Catastrophe, or Catastrophe. And after he's finished the move, the statue to my left, not this one right here, but the one, I'm just going to move there. Oh. That was my fault. Will come to life, and you've just got to basically kill the ad. This is pretty much a good example here, and then there should be one in the distance there. Wait for it. And the Dark Helot is in the distance there. I'm going to run to him. And down. That's it. Obviously, you've seen him do twice, and he's actually hit me. Tail swipe. You want to be watching out for that if you can. Not that it's actually hit me for too much. I've not even had to go into a full rotation for this, because by the time he's done Imminent Catastrophe, I've had to go and kill the ad. Go into a full rotation now. And we've got the limit break to use. I'm not even going to bother going for the second ad, because this fight will be over in just a moment. And pretty much now. And wow, guys, that was that was mad. That was so quick. Well, anyway, guys, I've been the On Genesis. I know it was quite a short video there for you guys. That was some more loot farming for item level 55 armor. I'll see you guys all in the next video for the next dungeon, probably. Until then, guys, as always, happy gaming.